variety show. Your sisters and we're coming in a case this year. We're coming from Nebraska and here. This is the Jessica and Dakota variety show.
Hi. So I already filmed this once, a couple days ago. But then I just got home from church and I'm like, wow, it kind of looked cute, so we're gonna refilm it. So here we are, round 2. I'm a bit more organized this time. I actually have a list written down. So this is my 2020 year in review. 2020 was pretty good for me, actually, which feels weird to say with all that's gone on. PewDiePie talked about it in his year in review. I feel weird saying that 2020 wasn't that bad for me because, from a worldly perspective, 2020 wasn't great. But for me, 2020 wasn't bad. I enjoyed most of the year. Obviously, there were highs and lows. We're going to talk about them, but 2020 overall was really good for me. So let's start with the highs. I always want to start on a positive note, and then we'll talk about the lows, and then we'll talk about 2021. Okay, so starting off the year, I got a job for a company that overall I love. There's been obviously rocky points, like when one of the places I work at in Kansas had to close for 2 weeks, and there was a big mess with unemployment and holiday pay and all that junk that was frustrating, but overall, the job is great. It's, in the field of study that I want to work in and that I'm studying, and I could see myself working for this company for the rest of my life. I really enjoy my job, and especially this past semester in Kansas, I've really bonded with coworkers there and have really fallen in love with my job there too. Over the summer, I loved my job here, and I cried when I had to move to Kansas for school because I just love my job here. But my mom asked me earlier today, if you had to choose one, which one would you work in? And I honestly don't know. I love both of my jobs and my coworkers, and I'm just really blessed to do what I love in both places and be able to switch depending on where I am. I got to come home for 3 weeks or whatever for holiday for Christmas, and I am working here. It's just great that I get to hop back and forth like that. So I'm really blessed in that side of things. This year I had a couple of operations done, I guess. I had a laparoscopy, and I got my wisdom teeth removed, both of which are videos that you can watch on the channel. The laparoscopy was so perfectly timed, such God timing in that, because it was literally as I was recovering from the surgery, my school shut down. So I was home already. I had just had my surgery done, and then the world shut down the next week. It was just so perfect timing. It was just mind-blowing to see, how God placed that in my life right at the perfect time, right when COVID shut down the world. So and then I got my wisdom teeth removed in October, so that was only a few months ago, but yeah, that's a fun video if you want to check that one out. And then in March, COVID shut everything down, which worldly was rough and is rough. People getting sick, people dying, no matter what you think about the virus or whatever, obviously it's a sickness and people did, die from it, and is a real issue, just like all the other sicknesses we have. But for me, March was a great time for me because I didn't realize how much I needed it until I was in it, but I needed that family time. There was a lot of drama, I guess, with old friends people I grew up with. That was really taking a toll on me. And then I was all more or less alone in Kansas with just Jessica. So being home with my mom while I was dealing with that was really helpful. I really needed that family time, and I didn't know I did until it was right put in my face. One of the best things to come out of the summer for me was during the Black Lives Matter stuff. I'm gonna lean over so I can put a picture here. I have never been to a protest in my life ever. I'm just not a protesty kind of person. I don't like politics. I don't like being that involved. Like, I vote and I express my opinion because I think that's important, but I don't like trying to push my opinion on others. I don't think that's my place, especially as a Christian, to get that involved in politics. But I got the opportunity to go to a Black Lives Matter protest, and I wouldn't say I was part of the protest, but I got to pass out hugs, free hugs, which was one of the best days of 2020 for me. There was a time where we were all feeling kind of lost, I think. I remember when the riots started in Lincoln feeling homesick while at home, because that wasn't the place I had grown up in. That wasn't the city I knew and loved. So I really enjoyed going out and being a little bit of light, if that makes sense. Like, spreading a little joy and love and reminding people, like, there is good. When the world seems so dark and politics was such a big thing and everything, it was so cool to see how many people accepted my hugs, even in the midst of a global pandemic. Like, the world was so unsteady and unnormal, I guess, that, people accepted me with open arms, literally. Like, I think I got 44 hugs that day, I counted. And I just remember being so filled with joy. Like, I hadn't felt that happy in a while, and it was just so cool. That was probably the highlight of my year. Started a new semester at K-State, which went really well, actually. I got to work through the whole thing, work full-time while doing school, and for the most part it went really well. I ended with like all season higher, which is really great. My lowest, I had 1 C, so for working full-time and doing school for full-time, I felt really proud of that. And yeah, I really bonded with my coworkers down there this semester, and it was just so much fun to like get to know them and talk to them, and spend some time outside of work with them too. It was just really cool and a lot of fun. The other high I want to mention is my skincare. I got really into taking care of my skin and actually washing my face and stuff, which was a resolution for me in 2020. Was I wanted to get better about that, and I'm really proud of it, and I don't feel like self-conscious about pimples or anything anymore when I'm not wearing makeup, because I don't have as many and I feel better about my skin. It's really soft and stuff, so that's been really great. Yeah, that's probably all of my highs. Let's move on to the lows. I only have a few, which is good. One of them we already talked about was the drama in relationships with old friends, people I've grown up with. Still feeling a kickback of that sometimes, but I think there's always a time. I noticed this right outside of high school. There's like people who are in your life for a specific reason, for a specific amount of time. And when that reason is done, that purpose is taken care of, they move on. And that's okay. That's God's plan. He places them in your life to teach you something or to be there for you, and then they go on to do whatever is next for them. I had two really great friends in high school who I love dearly and still do, who were like family to me, were there for me in my lowest time. When I felt completely alone, they were there. And I think that was the purpose in my life, is that when I felt completely alone and I needed to move on to the next stage of my life, they were there, and they were there holding me and pushing me along and, holding my hand when it got rough. And they were there for me like pretty much all of high school, and then I graduated and we went our separate ways, and that was really hard for me at the beginning. Right after I graduated, to let them go. Letting people go is really hard for me. It's always been, because I get really emotionally attached, and when somebody has my heart, they have all of my heart, and there's no, I'm all in or I'm all out for me. So it was really, really hard to let them go. But I learned that in 2020. Even though I know I graduated in 2019, it took me a long time to learn it, but I learned in 2020 with these other, the other family friends who I grew up with, walking away from my life too, that everybody who comes into your life has a purpose. God places them in your life for a reason. And when that reason is done, or when God decides that you need to move on to bigger and better things, different things, He removes them from your life in one way or another, and it can be painful, but it's always for the best. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned in 2020, was that, like, not everybody's meant to be in your life for all of it, and that's okay. There'll be people who come along later who, come to take that spot, and I, have some of those people who, like, did take the place of those ones that walked away. COVID for me, obviously, like I said, was good for the most part. One of the things that wasn't good was my grades. In the spring semester of 2020, I was taking a math class that I shouldn't have been taking. It was too hard for me, and I told my professor, or my academic advisor, like, I cannot take this math class. It's too hard for me. I can't do it. And she signed me up for it anyway and wouldn't listen to me. And so then I was in college algebra when I should have been in intermediate algebra. Little did I know that there was a prereq course for this algebra class that I was in that I didn't take. So I was struggling in math already, barely scraping the surface of a C+. And then COVID hit, and I went home and had to basically teach myself. And I almost failed. I had to take it pass-fail so it wouldn't ruin my GPA. It was bad. But we're through it. Probably the lowest part of my year was we did lose a loved one. A family friend. I will always remember the day she passed. I was laying in bed, and my dad got a phone call. Our rooms are like right next to each other. It's just like our closets in between, so I can hear everything that goes on in my parents' room. So I just heard my dad like on the phone, like, "Oh no," and stuff. And I just remember being so worried. So I got up and I went into his room and like asked, and I just remember crying for the rest of the day. I don't like asking for help. So I didn't tell any of my coworkers. So they were all like freaking out because I was just at work crying. And when one of them finally did ask me, I couldn't get the words out. It was that was the lowest day of 2020 for us, at least for me, losing that family friend. But she's in a better place, and there's no more suffering for her, you know. Anyway, that was, whew, I got sad fast. Sorry. Let's move on to 2021. So yeah, overall 2020 was great for me. The highs definitely outweigh the lows. Yeah, 2021. I have 2 resolutions that I want to focus on. One way more important than the other, but 2, 3 in general. The first one is I need to be more devoted in my reading of the Word and praying. I need to spend more time in the Bible and in prayer, learning and growing and talking to God. There are moments like I go through such good periods where I'm so devoted and I'm in the Bible every day and I'm doing what I should be, and then there's times where I'm really not. And they always seem to match up with a particular sin that I struggle with. When I'm reading the Bible every day and doing what I should be every day, I don't fall into the sin pretty much ever. But when I get lazy and when I stop, that's when the sin kicks in and takes over my life again, and I just feel that guilt all the time. And then the last one, which is the least important, is I want to work out more. And there was a time, like probably 3 weeks last year, that I was really into it and was working out, and you know, but it didn't last very long. So I think I need to like slowly creep into it and not just like dive in head first. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what the year has to bring. Obviously there's going to be highs and lows. Hopefully the world goes back to sort of normal. So yeah, I'm excited about what the year has to bring, and excited to see where the Lord takes me and grow in Him. And hopefully through that growing, I will be more content and happy with my situation. I'm trying to focus on like the highs, you know. But of course there's things that I struggle with. Like being single, for example, is probably the one place in my life I'm not content. Everything else, like my friends, I'm really happy with. My job, I'm really happy with. Where my family's at, you know, all of those things. But relationship-wise, it's really hard for me. Sometimes it overtakes all of the good and the blessings that I have because I focus on the wrong things. So I need to, you know, hopefully through reading the Bible and praying and all of that, become more content with where the Lord has me. And who knows? Maybe the right guy will walk into my life. Maybe he won't. You know, who knows? But I'm gonna trust God and trust that He has the perfect plan for me, because I know He does. I'm just gonna work on being content, being more in the Word, praying, watching my actions. Obviously those are the most important things, and then obviously, like I said, I want to work out more and stuff like that, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great year. And I just want to encourage you guys, you know, like there's always good, and whether 2020 was the best year of your life or the worst, I hope 2020 is better. 2021 is better, I should say. And there's a joke that 2021, you know, and I think it's dumb. I think looking back on the year, if you take some time, you could always find something that was good. some bright moment, some day that was better. I truly believe that, and have experienced in my life, that there's always joy to be found. There's always some good something that happened. There's always a good moment or a good experience, and just look for it, you know? There's always a blessing in your life. So when life seems hard, and when the world seems like it's against you, count your blessings. Because they're there, and they'll bring a smile to your face, and they'll lift your spirits. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video isn't as long as it took me to film, but I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching and being part of the DJ Wheat fam. If you want to see more, subscribe, like it if you liked it, do all the things, comment anything, really anything you want. Really don't really care what you want to, I'll read them. Yeah, if you have any questions or video suggestions or anything like that, just let us know in the comments. And yeah, love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.